Well, welcome to this short topic on the generosity gene. As you may be aware, Jack has sort of coined this term in the recent past, and it speaks to a specific character trait or style or behavior that's exhibited by really only the best leaders. So what I wanted to do was share with you today why this is important, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, and the impact that it can have on your organization. This generosity gene really comes to us also through several research threads. You might be familiar with Jim Kouzes and Barry Posner's research on encouraging the heart. Robert Greenleaf and others have written about servant leadership model and the heart condition associated with serving others well. Stephen Covey writes about this in the context of having an abundance mentality as opposed to a scarcity mentality. So why is this important? Well, at the end of the day, winning is hard work. And so what happens? I mean, you've got a great mission, you've got a great vision, you've articulated well the values and the behaviors associated with those, you've pressed those into the organization. But somehow in the daily work activities, at the level where your employees are touching up against your customers and your other stakeholders, they lose heart, they become discouraged, they become frustrated in the details. They become overwhelmed by sometimes the risk and the change that's involved in pursuing that distant and preferred future. Well, it's because of this discouragement that the generosity gene really becomes very, very important. And it is a unique characteristic that's true of all great leaders who have made the greatest difference in their followers and the greatest difference in terms of accomplishing the performance measures or the outcomes associated with their mission. So what I want you to do is think of yourself as the CEO. Now, I say that, and you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, I'm not the chief executive officer. Well, that's not the context in which I'm saying this. You're the chief encouragement officer. See, encouragement? That's your job. Your job is to encourage your followers. In the midst of the pain, in the midst of the frustration, in the midst of the discouragement, it's your job to lift them up, encourage them, exhort them to keep achieving, to keep putting one foot in front of the other, to do the hard work that's required of them. So what is this generosity gene? Well, it's the daily, authentic outworking of your heart related to the love and compassion you have for your people and the hard work that they do. And beyond them, for the families that they have a responsibility for. This is a deeply rooted value and conviction that frankly can't be contained even if you wanted it to be. If I were to use an example, here's a ready example that you may remember. Remember the movie Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge? So this would be the old version. And do you remember by the end of the movie, when he throws open the window, he finds out that he can change the future, that he doesn't have to be the way that he's been, that he doesn't have to be the stingy Scrooge that is associated with his name. And he sees that young boy out there, and he throws some money at him. He says, go get the biggest turkey you can find. And he doesn't hold him to parameters for the turkey. He doesn't say, what's it worth? And he says, here's a bunch of money, just go get it. And have a great Christmas. And then he shows up at the Cratchit's home with gifts in hand. And he takes on the responsibility for Tiny Tim's medical bills. I mean, this is that giddiness associated with it's oozing out because of his heart condition. If I could say it this way, you're as excited for your employees or your followers who have performed well, and you get excited in giving them the reward. You're just as excited about it as they are in picking up the phone and calling their spouse and telling them they got the promotion or the reward. I mean, that's the giddiness that's associated with this. You can't control it if you want to. So Jack would say this is a genuine excitement to see your people promoted and recognized. You give credit where credit is due, and you announce it to the world so that everybody wants to celebrate with these people. This is not so surprising to hear, but applied in a daily way makes a huge difference. And let me tell you, this is not what it looks like, what I'm going to say next. This isn't a stingy mentality. This isn't a mentality that says there's a scarcity of resources. This happens in good times and in bad, and it happens pervasively. It's a magnanimous response to your people. It is a genuine love and reverence for them. That word reverence, we don't use that very often, but it refers to a sacredness or a sacred trust that you have with your followers. These are people that you hold in such high esteem that you can't help but honor them when they've done the hard work. And you know, it happens even when there isn't a lot of resources available in terms of your performance to mission. So you don't use this, or you can't do this in the sense of resources are tight, so we're going to cut commissions, or resources are tight, so we're going to somehow have to compensate less. And how do we build a rational plan for doing this? This isn't the kind of thing that lets you as an individual take a great idea that emerges from your followers and then go into a meeting and present it as your own idea. This isn't that jealous attitude that says somebody got rewarded and recognized before me, and now you somehow feel like you were deserving of it and they weren't. That's not this. This is something entirely different. Why should you do it? Well, here's the bottom line. This is what the research says. And frankly, this is what these great leaders find is true. In the midst of discouragement, in the midst of discontent and frustration, these followers that experience your generosity gene, they have greater resiliency. They have greater tenacity in the face of the challenges and the frustrations. They persevere under pressure every single day. They keep moving the ball down the court, and inch at a time, they take the inevitable 2 steps back and 1 step forward as just the way it works in order to win. There's improved accountability and risk-taking. This is what comes out. They know that they're going to be rewarded. And because they're going to be rewarded, they're willing to take the great risk that it takes to go forward. They don't hide in the shadows. They're not the kinds of people that hope they don't get found out. They're not the ones that withhold the bad news. These are the ones that are accountable for performance daily. They innovate. They take the chances. Here's what else that happens out of this. You inspire great trust in them. There's a greater willingness to be transparent and vulnerable. And without this, there are no relationships in the organization. And here's the deal. It doesn't just happen between you and them. It happens because you're facilitating this among all the followers on your team. Greater transparency, greater trust. And it eventually comes out in the form of greater collaboration and greater cohesiveness. They're at each other's back daily, supporting one another. This is tremendous. This is exactly what you want. Bottom line, when all the benefits are on the table, work is a whole lot more fun. And you know what? Because it's more fun and because they're accomplishing more with less, you do a whole lot more winning. And presumably, you're doing a whole lot more celebrating. So the bottom line is, we want to celebrate, we want to win, we want to have fun in the process. That's why you do it. But that's not the only reason why you do it. Frankly, you could not do it if you wanted to, if it's genuine and authentic. And here's how you do it. On a daily basis, you get involved personally. You're the difference maker. You don't delegate this to anybody else. You do it yourself. Secondly, you recognize individual contributions in a very tangible way. There are times when you can't do it financially, but there ought to be ties to it doing it financially. You create and then reinforce a culture that celebrates your values and your victories. You do this collectively. You do it on a small scale, you do it on a large scale, and you make heroes out of these people that are doing their jobs well. You celebrate their accomplishments in public daily. All right? They're symbolic individuals, so others know what it looks like to win, what it looks like to succeed, and others know the way these people are handled, revered, and respected and treated by their leaders. In the end, you're going to spread their stories of success. You're going to make them known wide throughout the organization to customers and to everybody else. Encouraging the heart, not having a scarcity mentality, instead having an abundance mentality, looking for the win-win in every situation relationship, ultimately demonstrating that you love your people, you love their success, that you care about them deeply, that you're going to honor and revere them, and you're going to celebrate with them. That's how you're going to spread their stories of success. That's how you're going to make them feel like heroes. That's going to be the difference maker when the hard times come, and they always come. So you get out there, you celebrate, you demonstrate you got the generosity gene, and you love your people. I think they're going to love you because of it. They're going to be sure to charge the hill with you when you say it's time to charge. And you're going to encourage and exhort them all along the way, and your organization's going to ultimately win. Hope you enjoyed this short video. You have yourself a great day.